All right, everyone, buckle up. We're diving into some seriously interesting fintech news today.
Yeah, this is a big one.
It's all about the launch of Samsung Pay in Saudi Arabia.
Ooh, Saudi Arabia, always at the forefront of innovation.
They are, and this is causing quite a stir online. We've got articles, we've got social media buzzing.
Lots to unpack them.
Definitely. See, the thing is, the Saudi central bank, that's SAMA, officially launched it. But there's a catch.
A catch. Now I'm intrigued.
People are saying they can't even find the app.
Bit of a mystery then.
A bit, yeah. Officially, Samsung Pay went live December 9th, 2024.
A date that aligns perfectly with Saudi Vision 2030.
Right. Their grand plan to modernize the economy and ditch cash.
Ambitious. I like it.
And this isn't just any payment app.
Oh.
This integrates with Mada, their national payment system.
Ah, Mada. Think of it as the Saudi equivalent of, say, Visa or MasterCard.
Exactly. So this integration means Samsung Pay is plugged right into the heart of their financial system.
Major implications.
Huge. So for those who might not be familiar, what exactly is Samsung Pay offering? Why should we care?
Imagine you're at the checkout.
Yeah.
Right. No more fumbling for your wallet. You just tap your phone, boom, done.
Ah, the classic tap and go.
Exactly. But with Samsung Pay, you store all your cards, your Mada cards, credit cards, everything securely, all within the Samsung Wallet app.
Convenient, but is it secure?
They've got it pretty locked down. They use tokenization.
Tokenization, what's that?
Instead of your actual card details flying across the internet, they use a unique one-time code for each transaction.
Clever.
And on top of that, you've got biometrics like fingerprint scanning and Samsung Knox encryption. Layers upon layers of security.
So they're not messing around when it comes to keeping your money safe?
Nope.
But this sounds like pretty standard mobile payment stuff. What makes the launch in Saudi Arabia so groundbreaking?
There's the rub. Saudi Arabia has big dreams in the fintech world. They want to be a global leader.
I can see that.
And this move with Samsung Pay is a big step in that direction.
I see. A statement of intent.
Exactly. And think about the impact on financial inclusion.
Financial inclusion.
Not everyone has easy access to banks. Right.
Right.
But with a smartphone and Samsung Pay, they can suddenly participate in the digital economy.
That's a powerful point. Empowering people.
Exactly. But let's not forget, we have those conflicting user reports. Some folks say the app is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's the big question mark hanging over all of this. What's going on?
It could be a phased rollout. Maybe not everyone gets access at the same time. And of course, everyone online is already comparing Samsung Pay to its rivals.
STC Pay, right.
That's one of them. Lots of speculation about who will come out on top. We even saw a funny comment saying they're still waiting for Samsung phones to be available in Saudi Arabia.
Haha, yeah, that one got a chuckle out of me too.
Yeah.
But jokes aside, this whole thing really shows Sama's commitment to building a solid digital payment system.
Absolutely. A cashless society is what they're aiming for. And they're not just talking about it.
True, they're walking the walk. They just introduced those e-wallet rules to regulate electronic money institutions.
Ensuring stability and safety.
Exactly. So it's clear they're taking this seriously.
Very seriously.
All right, let's take a deep breath. We'll be back in a jiffy to explore the wider implications of this launch. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. We're digging deeper into the launch of Samsung Pay in Saudi Arabia. You know, it's interesting to think about Sama's vision of a cashless society.
Yeah, what does that actually look like on the ground, right?
Exactly. What changes might we see in Saudi Arabia as they move towards this vision?
Well, picture this. Those everyday transactions we make with cash, like taxis, street vendors, even tipping, those could all go digital.
So everything becomes digital, even small things.
Right. Digital payments become the norm. But of course, you have to think about accessibility, right?
Right. What about people who aren't comfortable with technology or don't have smartphones?
That's a key challenge. You can't leave anyone behind in this transition to a digital economy.
True, true. Digital literacy and bridging the digital divide are essential. But for those who do embrace this cashless future, what are the advantages?
Well, we've talked about financial inclusion, but security is another big one. Less cash floating around means less theft.
Ah, makes sense. Makes those cash-based criminal activities a lot harder.
Exactly. And zoom out a bit, a cashless economy is just more efficient.
How so?
Digital transactions, they create data. Valuable data.
Data that can be used to improve financial services, you mean?
Yes, and even things like economic growth and government policies.
Wow, so it's not just about individual transactions, it's about the big picture, like understanding spending patterns, consumer behavior.
All of that. But of course, you have to protect that data. Privacy and security are paramount.
Absolutely. SAMA will need to make sure that sensitive financial information is kept safe.
Agreed. So we've talked about SAMA, the government side of things, but what about private companies?
Like Samsung, what's their role in all of this? Are they just along for the ride?
Oh, they're not passive at all. They're shaping the landscape. Bringing solutions like Samsung Pay to the market pushes the boundaries, encourages people to adopt digital payments.
So it's a partnership then. The government sets the stage and companies bring the technology.
That's a good way to put it. But we can't forget about the consumers either. They have to buy into this, embrace the technology.
Right, it has to become the preferred way to pay, not just an alternative.
Exactly. And you know what? That shift is already happening. Even before Samsung Pay, non-cash transactions in Saudi Arabia were on the rise.
So this is just going to accelerate that trend?
Most likely. And as more people adopt digital payments, we'll probably see a whole range of new financial services become available.
Like what kind of services?
Things like microloans, insurance, even investment opportunities.
So it's about opening up those opportunities to more people, democratizing finance.
That's the idea. But let's play devil's advocate for a second. Are there any downsides to this rush towards a cashless society?
Good point. It can't all be sunshine and roses, right?
Right. One worry is economic inequality. If access to these digital financial services isn't equal, it could actually make existing disparities worse.
It's essential to make sure everyone benefits from this transition, not just those who are already tech-savvy.
Absolutely. And then there's cybersecurity. The more reliant we become on digital systems, the more vulnerable we are to attacks and breaches.
Which makes SAMA's focus on a secure digital infrastructure even more important.
Exactly. They need to stay ahead of the game when it comes to security and consumer protection. So we've looked at the potential upsides and downsides, but the big question remains, will Samsung Pay live up to all the hype? Will it really revolutionize Saudi Arabia's financial landscape?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. Only time will tell, I suppose. But one thing is for sure, this has really shaken things up in the Saudi fintech world.
It feels like they're at a turning point.
They are. And the choices they make now will have a big impact on the future. It's a fascinating time to be following this. And it just goes to show innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum, right?
Right. It's a combination of things. Government policies, technology, cultural changes, even individual decisions, they all play a part.
They do. And for everyone listening, this is your chance to be a part of it. Engage in the conversation. Help shape this future.
Because the future of finance, it's being written right now. We'll be back in a moment to wrap things up and leave you with a final thought to ponder. We're back, folks. Ready to wrap up our deep dive into Samsung Pay in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have, from the tech itself to financial inclusion, even a cashless society. But now, I kind of want to take a step back, get a little philosophical.
Oh, okay, I like where this is going.
We've talked about all these changes, good and bad, but what does it all really mean for the average person in Saudi Arabia? Like, how will their lives actually be different because of Samsung Pay?
That's the heart of the matter, isn't it? It's about more than just the convenience. It's about how this tech can empower people, give them more control over their money.
Give me an example. How does Samsung Pay translate into actual, tangible benefits for individuals?
Okay, imagine someone, let's say, living in a rural area, far from any bank. Suddenly, with Samsung Pay, they have access to all these financial services they didn't before.
Services they couldn't get before.
Right. Sending money to family, paying bills, even saving. Things that were out of reach before.
So it's bridging the gap between the traditional financial system and those who've been excluded.
You got it. And for people who are already tech-savvy, well, Samsung Pay offers even more convenience and security.
Like, no more carrying a big, bulky wallet.
Exactly. Or worrying about losing your cards. It just simplifies things.
Streamlining our financial lives. I like it. But, we have to talk about the potential downsides, too. We mentioned economic inequality and cybersecurity. Any other concerns we should be thinking about?
Well, there's the privacy issue. The more of our transactions become digital, the more data is out there. Who has access to it? How is it being used?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. We need strong data protection rules and transparency about how our financial information is used.
Absolutely. And then there's the social aspect. Think about it. If we're not interacting face-to-face to exchange money, do we lose some of that sense of community?
Interesting point. Sometimes progress comes with trade-offs we don't always anticipate.
That's right. Technology is great, but we have to be mindful of its impact on our social lives, too.
So as we wrap this up, I think the big takeaway is this. Samsung Pay in Saudi Arabia, it's more than just a new app, it's a spark.
A spark.
Yeah, it's sparking a bigger conversation about the future of finance, how we use money, what kind of society we're building.
Well said. It's a call to action for all of us. Individuals, businesses, governments. We need to think critically about the choices we make as we enter this new financial era.
And for our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge to participate in that conversation.
Yeah, the future of finance is being shaped right now. We all have a part to play.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep. And that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive.